Hello friends, thank you so much for joining me today where I'm going to walk you through the brand new Rabbit Trails Through History. This just released a few weeks ago and I have not done a flip through yet, so I thought what better time to get in and do a flip through so you guys can see inside, so you can see all the books that are included and just get a better idea of what Rabbit Trails Through History looks like. So our very first volume is all about America's founders. So I wanted to create something that talked about the beginning of America, the Revolutionary War time period, and all of the amazing people that helped to shape our nation. So let's get into it. So first of all, there is a couple pages that just tell you exactly how to use this curriculum, that it is literature-based, that your children can work in any notebook that they want. It doesn't have to be the specific one. I just found a pretty one to take a picture of. But they can use any notebook that you just get from the grocery store. Is perfectly fine. So they can use whatever, whether it is a blank, no-lined notebook, or whether it has college ruled, wide ruled, whatever it is that you want them to use, you can grab a notebook for them to put all of their work into. So let me show off the books before we get more into the curriculum. So there are 8 lessons inside of this curriculum, and each lesson is meant to take about 2 weeks to go through, making it a 16-week curriculum, so it's about a half of a school year worth of lessons. So you can absolutely stretch these. I think we've been working on one of the lessons now for 3 weeks. Because we've just been stretching it and finding more and more stuff to learn just about this one person and all the events that happened around his life. So you can absolutely stretch it, make it into whatever it is that you want it to look like. So the very first book is Big George, all about George Washington. The next book is Paul Revere's Ride, and so this is the Longfellow poem all about his ride, and it's beautifully illustrated. Next one is Betsy Ross. So this book is not available new. You can only find this book used, and we try really, really hard to make sure that all the books that are part of the main lessons are available new. But this book was too good. There was not another Betsy Ross book that we liked nearly as much because the illustrations are just really high quality, and it just really dug down into her life really, really well. So we wanted to make sure to include a quality book as opposed to just including the next best thing, just to make sure it was available new. So I will be having this available as a read aloud to go up on YouTube. I got permission from the publisher. So if you guys can't find it used, which there are lots of copies right now, so snag one now. So if you cannot find it new, it will be up on my YouTube so you guys can still have a good quality read aloud of the book as well. But it is gorgeous. Grab yourself a used copy before they are all gone. The next one is The Revolutionary John Adams. Leave It to Abigail. Such a cute book. I love it. We wanted to include a lot of founding mothers in these lessons as well. So her lesson talks about tons of different founding mothers, and they're sprinkled throughout the other lessons as well. How Benjamin Franklin Stole the Lightning. Aaron and Alexander. And Thomas Jefferson, Life, Liberty, and the Pursuit of Everything. So when we pick these books, we're looking for amazing illustrations because that's what's really important to me, is not only is the literature good quality and that you're learning things through the story, but that you're getting the richness of the amazing illustrations inside of each of these books. So a lot of them are not super well known, and I've been told I have a superpower of finding amazing books, and I will take that. I will say, yes, I have that superpower, because that's what's so important to me, is when you guys are teaching history in your homeschool, that your kids are learning it through absolutely beautiful books. So I feel like we've done a really good job making sure you guys have quality literature to learn about all of these people. So let's dig into the lessons a little bit so you guys can see what it looks like inside. So there is a table of contents, so you can easily make sure that you are getting the exact books for these lessons, because these main 8 books are required for the lessons, because the information that we are talking about is all based out of these books. So I do have an Amazon storefront where I have each of these books listed to easily get. I've been able to find most of them at my library as well. Now, the rest of the books we're going to be looking inside of each lesson, those are not required. So all of the books in the Rabbit Trails lesson and the library list are not required. Those are strictly just recommendations so that you guys can easily make up your library list, go to your library and pick up the other books. So we'll look at that here in just a second too. So each and every lesson is going to start with an actual lesson. You read the book, you come learn even more about these amazing people. Then there is copywork in every single lesson. So copywork in history is a little bit different because instead of it being copywork directly from the book, which you can absolutely still pull from, it is a quote from each person. So there's a quote here from George Washington because he's the first one in our lesson. And then also a Bible verse. You can use as copywork, you can use as memory work, you can just include it in a part of the lesson, whatever you want to do with it. And then underneath the Bible copywork verse, there is a small Bible lesson that just ties in the verse to the actual lesson. So you can, I love that real life application, right? Whenever we see a Bible verse and we're able to tie it into real life, it ties it into these people's lives so that you're able to see that real life application with these Bible verses. So it just gives you a little bit to think about then for a little mini Bible lesson there as well. And then there's always some fun in every single lesson. A lot of it is hands-on. It might be art projects or experiments, or in this case, it's colonial games. So there's always some type of fun to get your kids hands-on with those lessons and have them have something tangible with those lessons. After that is the Rabbit Trails. So inside of Rabbit Trails, we recommend even more books. Now, these books may not be specifically about these people. It's going to go rabbit trailing onto other people that influenced during that time. So there's another book on Washington here. There's a book about a spy during the Revolutionary War. There's always a little YouTube video recommendation to learn even more. And then there's Martha Washington, learning about Marquis de Lafayette, and also George versus George, because there's a whole other George that's a part of the story as well, right? And so it's about all these other people. So when you see the lesson is about George Washington, it is about so much more than George Washington. So when you see the books that are a part of this, and you're like, oh, Thomas Jefferson, we're just gonna learn about Thomas Jefferson. Not true. You're gonna learn about Thomas Jefferson and so many other people in his lesson. And that is my favorite part about history, is that we were really able to cram all kinds of stuff in there so you guys can learn about so many other people, which is why it's taking us more than the 2 weeks to get through the lesson, because we are able to stretch it and learn about all these different people and why they were so influential during that time. So after the library list is more ideas. So this is even more ideas to dig down deeper down those rabbit trails. So there's always poetry included in here. There is always art studies included in here. That was something we wanted to make sure for history, that every single lesson has some type of art study to go down. So your children can create their own art study out of this as well. They can either just have a printout of whatever picture or sculpture, whatever it is that we're talking about in the lesson, or they can recreate it. My kids had a lot of fun recreating some of these that we have done so far, and they've blown me away with their recreations too. It's been really amazing to see their artistic side come out in that way, in portraits that are super well known, that everyone recognizes when they see. So it's really important for me to make sure they've seen these before, right? And that they have come across these in their studies. And so then they were even able to look at small details, and they were able to dig even deeper in things that I didn't even notice in the painting that they're coming up with when they're recreating it. And I'm like, I didn't even think about that. Like a little dog in the corner that I never would have noticed if they didn't recreate it, because they noticed that right away and they were able to put that into their art study. So I love that we incorporated the art study in this. And then there's just lots of other stuff about these people or things involved with them, just to give you a little bit more understanding of maybe where they lived or what was happening during that time, or maybe another perspective of what was happening. So there's so many ideas crammed in the more ideas section. And that gives you guys an idea of what each lesson looks like. So there are tons of book recommendations, tons of opportunity for copy work, tons of opportunities for diving deeper into each of these people's lives and into so many other people's lives as well. So I hope that you guys are able to check out Rabbit Trails Through History on your own. Don't forget, I also have a free lesson on the Star Spangled Banner about Francis Scott Key that you guys can also grab from my website as well. So be sure to grab your free lesson. There's a full lesson sample for you guys too about George Washington that I already flipped through, so you can see that up close as well and give yourselves a really great idea of what rabbit trails through history looks like. I hope you guys love it. This has been by far my most popular curriculum, and I never would have expected that. History was something I totally put on the back burner to do and got the push to do it, and I'm so glad that I did because people are so excited about rabbit trails through history. We're already working on 2 new volumes. One of them is almost ready to go for later this fall. The next one will be released next spring, so we are pushing out the volumes to make sure that you guys can have plenty of history to do in your homeschool. So I hope you enjoy my flip through and that it gives you a really good idea of what it looks like and how the lessons work. And I thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.